What up, though, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Chopping It Up with Uncle Sean, the podcast. I am your humble host, Uncle Sean, and it's a pleasure and an honor to be here today. Just gonna talk a little shit with y'all today. This is my therapy. First thing I want to do is kick a little black fact for you. In the year of 1893, a foundational black American by the name of John Thomas White, he created the lemon squeezer. In 1893, John Thomas White invented the lemon squeezer. We salute that brother for his contribution. Positive contribution to the world. Thank you. Today, I'm going to talk about one of those subjects that people often get in trouble about and everything, but I'm just going to talk. And what I want to talk about today is race, pretty much, and things that are going on as it relates to race. Now, I grew up Northwest Detroit in I guess you would call it middle class neighborhood. A lot of working folks, mostly everybody worked. We kept our property up, lawns and everything. My parents put me and my sister in private school. We went to, the first one was Detroit Urban Lutheran, and then Presentation Our Lady of Victory, and then Greenfield Peace Lutheran. And my sister went on to DePores, where I went to Retford and Henry Ford. And then eventually I graduated from Walker High School in Jasper, Alabama. Okay, little history about me. In my neighborhood, we had it like I was 99% black. There were a couple of white families in our neighborhood, and they got along with everybody. Nobody bothered them because they were white. And I'm sure they were just holdovers from the migration of white people out of the city. Just a few white families that said, we not leaving. We had two around the corner from me on Eileen. Two white families. We had one white family that was down the street from us, an old white couple, old than a motherfucker. They was old as hell. They was old when I was little. And they would basically, they didn't bother nobody. You really didn't see them have no company or nothing like that. They would walk. They would come out on a nice day and they would walk. The old couple, hold hands and walk. Nobody bothered. There was another couple, another white family around the other corner on Washburn, and their mother wasn't no joke. This white lady would get down with the get down. You wasn't finna do shit to her kids, and and they would come outside and they played with everybody else, and but they didn't try to act black or nothing. They was white, and everybody respected them for it. They weren't in any danger around black people. Now, as far as what I was taught in my home about race, my parents really didn't, that wasn't something they harped on. I mean, it was like, my father, he didn't like nobody using the N-word. He didn't like that word. when he would get mad at somebody at his job, he would be like that honky, that honky at the job, blah blah blah, or that hunk, he would use he would use the word honky. But other than that, as far as race goes, it wasn't really no, other than, oh, well, when I got a little older as a teenager, he told me don't bring no white girl home. Hey, shit, that's what he said. And, but it wasn't like, being indoctrinated into nothing, no Black Panther movement and what, nothing like that. It was just, we just lived life. We didn't think about white folks like that. However, I spent quite a few summers in Alabama, in Jasper, Alabama. And race was an issue in Alabama. I mean, there was in the town where my grandmother stayed, a little town. I think it's north of Birmingham. Anyway, it's about 40 miles from Birmingham, Alabama, and it was actually mentioned on the Phil Donahue show back in the day when Phil Donahue asked a white gentleman if he wanted to hire a hitman, where would he hire one from? And he said, there's a little town in Alabama called Jasper, best hitman in the world. So do with that what you will. My grandmother and my grandfather was sickly as far back as I can remember, up until when he passed away eventually. And my grandmother was a very strong-minded, strong-willed woman who didn't take no shit off nobody. White, black, male, female, didn't matter. I've seen my grandmother go off on the police. I saw my grandmother go off up in the grocery store. And, I didn't come from scary people. My family members are not known for backing down, for kowtowing, for being afraid, who living in fear. I come from the type of people that if you do something, we gonna get your ass. Yeah, I got family members that have been known to lay in bushes for days, waiting to get somebody. But as I got older, I started reading books. I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. And I remember that in that book, because I never really dealt with white people like that, my first incident that I had dealing with race, I was in the 7th grade. And this was one year when I went to school down in Alabama for the 7th grade. And I was playing football. And me and this white kid named Richard were on the football team together. And he was always talking to me, telling me about his dad and his uncles and how they were building this race car. And he would talk about it every day. Oh, my dad, my uncle's building this race car, and it's really sweet. I'm going to take you down there to see it one day, So it was on a Friday. So we get out of school, we go to football practice, and then we're walking Because if he was going home, he would get on the school bus. But this particular day, he was going down to his father and uncle's auto mechanic shop, which was in downtown Jasper, Alabama, which I didn't have to walk that way, but it wasn't out the way for me to walk that way to get home. So he was like, well, Sean, you come walk downhill with me to see the race car. Oh, okay. Me and Richard was cool. We played on the football team together. We had a couple classes together. We was cool. We walked down there to the shop. When we get there, it's about 5 or 6 white dudes in there. Classic country looking white dudes with the caterpillar hats on, bent all up. Look like they've been wearing them for like 20 years. Country music's playing. 3 of them is up under the hood of this race car, and about 3 or 4 of them is up under the hood of another car. One of them is maybe standing there holding a beer. And Richard walks up and was like, hey, Dad, I brought my friend Sean here so he could see the race car. And I swear, I don't remember nobody turning the music off, but it just sounded like everything just went quiet. And his dad turned around, and this is exactly what he said. He said, Richard, what are you doing standing up there with that nigger? Yep.
What?
He said, Richard, what are you doing standing up there with that nigger? And I immediately did an about face and hiked my motherfucking ass home. Now, I did not tell my grandmother that this happened. And the reason why, even at 12 years old, I had enough sense not to tell my grandmother, because my grandmother would have went up there to that shop and cussed out everybody there and threatened them, and I don't know what would have happened. I knew better than to tell my grandmother. I told my older cousin, and it wasn't nothing we could do. Grown ass men, but I didn't tell my grandmother. And when I got back to school, me and Richard never spoke to each other again. And later on, when I read the autobiography of Malcolm X, and he was talking about the reasons why you shouldn't date white women or really be friends with white people. And he said that if you date a white woman, sooner or later, she's going to scream grape or the equivalent of grape. And there's been so many incidents where I heard about an incident several years ago where a black young man went out to a club. He meets these 2 white girls. They live around the corner from the club. They all have a good time at the club. They drink, they dance, they do whatever. They take him back around to their apartment. He has sex with both of them. And then like 6 months later, they tell somebody about what happened, And they convinced these girls that since they had been drinking, that he had taken advantage of both of them and basically SA'd them. And you not know they arrested this young man for that? So I've never been attracted really to white women. Now, that's not to say I've never found a white woman attractive. Of course, there's some pretty white women out there, but I've never really, it's never even been a thought of mine to want to date one. Um, I know some cool white people, but I wouldn't call them my friend. You know, I, from seeing everything I've seen, I'm one of those people where, hey, I don't have nothing against other people, but I tend to stay with my own because that's where I feel comfortable. The problem in America, though, is that people who don't like you, they don't have the ability to stay away from you. You see, white people, they teach their children to dislike and hate black people. I've seen it. When my son was little, took him to the park. There was a white family out there. They had two little boys and a little girl. They were playing. My son was playing. He kept trying to play with the white kids, and the parents of the white kids called their kids over and told them, you don't play with him. And they went back to playing, and my son was kept trying to play with these kids, and they basically wouldn't play with him, and he came up to me and he was crying. And I remember he was probably about 3-4 years old, and I picked him up and I put him on the bench next to me, and I sat there and I told him about white folks. And I made sure I was talking loud enough for them to hear. Yeah. I said, those are racist white people, son. I was like, they don't like you because of your skin color, because of what color your skin is. And they literally hate you, and they'll harm you if they're able. And they started packing up their shit and leaving. You know. See, black people, when they don't like white people, it's because of something that was done to them. It's because of things that have been done to them. Because most black people don't think nothing of white people. We'll be friends with white people. We'll get along with you at work. We'll feed you. We'll do business with you. We we buy from you. We spend our money with you. But you actually teach your children hate. And it will be your doom. Your racism is already bringing you down. Now, you see, the dumb, poor, racist white person allows the rich, greedy, racist white person to basically vote against them their own best interests. They allow these rich white racist people to talk them into voting against their own best interests. You got white folks that live in places where they don't barely got no internet. They don't got no hospital within 20, 30 miles of where they live. They got dirt roads. Don't even matter. Don't even bother washing your pickup truck. They have a lack of services in general. And they keep voting for these same racist people because they tell them the reason why you don't have anything is because of niggers and Mexicans and immigrants. And even though the evidence is there in front of your face and shows you that that's not really the case, you choose to believe the lie because believing the truth would basically upset the balance of your whole belief system. Some of you have been racist so long you can't even fathom not being racist. I just saw today that they're going to cut Section 8 out come November or severely slash it or whatever. And I bet you there's a lot of white folks that, oh yeah, these niggers are going to be in trouble now. Okay. Just like when they cut them food stamps off, we gonna see who's really getting the Section 8. Because let me tell you something. I used to have a job where I used to pick up packages for the second largest package delivery company in the world, basically. And I would have to go to the welfare office in Madison Heights, Michigan, which is a predominantly white area. And I would go into that welfare office and it was the funniest shit I've ever seen because the people who were working in the office were black women. The people who were the welfare recipients matter of fact, I used to go in there once a week and I never seen no black person in there getting no benefits. It was white women and Arab women. Huh? Oh yeah. White women and Arab women with bad ass kids that was running around and not behaving. And those black women would be in there giving it to them. Like the way that they talk to black folks when black folks is going to get shit, how the white people talk to them. That's how these black women was talking to these white folks and these Arabs. Boy, and it was so funny because I come up and the woman was she'd be being, I can't remember her name, but she would be talking real nasty and greasy to these white folks and Arabs. And I'd walk up and she would see me and she would turn to me and get so sweet and nice. Hey baby, how you doing today? Oh, your package is over here. And me and her would have a nice little back and forth for a few minutes because she knew that I knew. We gave each other that black, yeah, sister, I see what's, good work. You're doing a hell of a good job here. And we would talk and kick it and be nice. And then as I'm walking out, she'd go right back to nasty again. And I realized, I was like, damn, it's a room full of white folks and Arabs in there getting welfare benefits. The whole stereotype of the black welfare queen with the bad kids. See, this is what I've learned. Everything that white people put on other people is really them. They're the ultimate gaslighters. They say black people lazy. You ever work with a white guy? Especially a white guy that's been on the job a while. Ain't nothing lazier than a white dude that feels like he's put his time in on the job. Nothing. I'm talking about they will complain at watching paint dry. Nothing lazier than a white dude on the job. They say black people commit all the crime in America. But when you look at the statistics, yeah, black people get convicted, but white people commit crimes and never pay for it. They don't go to jail like black people do because it's a racist system. You see videos all the time of a white dude beating up the police, wrestling with the police, running from the police after having doing a heinous crime, and they manage not to shoot him. And then when he goes to court, he gets a decent bail, and they let him back out of jail to do more shit. Chances that black people don't get. White people are the criminals, always have been. You are the ones who went to everybody's country and decimated them. Everything that you claim that we are, you are, times 3. And it's going to finish ruining the country. Because that's what's happening. This country is being ruined, destroyed from the inside, mainly because of racism and some stupidity and ignorance. And black people, as you can see, we're not bothered by all of that because you know why? One thing that we know how to do better than anybody else in the world is survive and improvise. This has been another episode of Chopping It Up with Uncle Sean. This was written, produced, performed, directed, funded by me, and I'm Uncle Sean. Fuck peace.